So Kaisa is a great AD carry who has a flexible kit with lots of damage, build options and a ton of self peel. In this video we will cover the basics of how to play Kaisa and get the ball rolling. First of all, we're going to cover Kaisa's abilities and then we're going to move on to some other things. So Kaisa's passive is quite long, but it's actually really simple. Basically all it's going to do is when you attack an enemy, it will apply a stack of plasma. Now when you stack all these plasma up, it will deal bonus damage. If Kaisa has an ally that deals immobilizing effects, this will also apply one stack of her passive to the champion. Once Kaisa has enough AD, AP and attack speed for each respective ability, she gets to evolve them, and we'll cover that once we go on to the abilities. Starting with Q, Kaisa just launches 6 missiles. This will spread out, but normally you want to target it on one champ so it deals the maximum damage. Kaisa's W is just a long range projectile that applies a stack of her passive and deals damage. It also grants true sight of the enemy. Kaisa's E is very simple. She gains a charge up, she gains movement speed whilst this is active, and then she gains attack speed when it ends for 4 seconds. Attacking an enemy reduces this cooldown by 0.5 seconds. Kaisa's ult is very simple. If someone has a stack of plasma on them, so if I hit with my W, I can dash to anywhere in this circle and I'll gain a shield when I land. So when Kaisa's abilities are evolved, they do different things. First one, when Q is evolved, it deals more damage and sends out more missiles. And you gain this by getting 100 bonus AD from items such as Kraken Slayer or PD. Q applies 3 stacks of plasma instead of 2. It also reduces the cooldown if it's hit by 77%. Your E evolve is very simple. You just become invisible whilst your E is active. And this can create a major difference. So now that we've covered her abilities, we're going to cover a little bit more complex things that you should know about her abilities and you might want to start implementing as soon as possible. Okay, so build wise, you're going to want to run the domination runes. You're going to want to go Hail of Blades, Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection and Treasure Hunter. Into poke lanes, you're probably going to want to go Magical Footwear and Biscuits. Into non-poke lanes, you're probably going to want to go Presence of Mind and Bloodline. Skill wise, you're going to want to max your Q and then your E and then your W in that order. Evolve wise is also the same with AD Kaisa. You're going to want to evolve your Q and then your E and then your W. Most of the time you won't get to evolve your W. So now we're going to cover some items and like evolve paths and things like this. The most common build path is Kraken into Collector into Phantom Dancer, like boots in between. Now I actually don't really like this build, but it's the most common, and basically the reason that people go this build is because you can go Noon Quiver, Pickaxe and a Serrated Dirk and get your early Q evolve. However, in my opinion, Collector is a bad item, especially when you're not into squishies. It just puts you back so much gold from actually getting a decent item. In this, I prefer going Kraken, 2 longswords for Q evolve, and then from the 2 longswords going Phantom Dancer. These 2 items themselves, along with boots, give you your Q and E evolve, whereas with the Collector build, you don't gain your E evolve soon at all. Items that you can consider getting that aren't really bought. I think Nash's Tooth is an okay item towards late game if you need more AP than AD damage for your team. It gives you AP and it also gives you the perfect amount for your W evolve. Also, Zhonya's Hourglass is a great item on Kaisa. This is an item that's luxury that not a lot of AD carries actually get to build. They have to suffer for GA and therefore never really end up getting like a stopwatch item because GA is just bad. But Kaisa can build this and it's a great item on her. Synergy with your support is a major factor when picking Kaisa. You want to pick this with support such as Leona, Nautilus, Alistar, Nami. You want them to be able to apply your passive stack for the most part. So these will be supports such as Leona, Nautilus, Alistar, things like this. But also she works kind of well with enchanters because you can abuse your passive. You can spam out auto attacks and they can buff and heal you. Kaisa works really well into kite comps where you want to kite back your enemy a lot. There's a lot of melee champs that you can kite around and just deal loads of damage to. She doesn't work too well against poke comps such as Xerath, Caitlyn. Like lanes like this where it's very difficult to actually lane and she just gets poked out. She works well with dive comps, such as a Jinx will not be able to follow her team if they're diving, whereas a Kaisa will. She'll have her ult to get, you know, in or out of a fight. She'll want to kite around the fight similar to like a Vayne. She also works really well as a tank shredder or a bruiser shredder. So in lane on Kaisa scales very well, but her laning phase is a bit iffy. She has strong points and she has power spikes, but she also has significant down points, especially if your support isn't very good or hasn't really picked like a synergy pick. So first of all, the thing you could do level 1 is cheese in a bot bush and wait for your enemy to walk through, especially if you've got a Nautilus. This is an easy way to get a kill level 1. This can also be done on things like Leona, but Naut is very good with it because he has his passive on his auto and his, you know, his Q level 1. There will soon be a video on my channel which I don't want to cover too much here, but it will help you find win cons in your lanes, such as, you know, poke, trade, all in, catch, how to play around your support, how to manage the wave, and how to play around your jungle, things like this. That video will be up soon, so when you see this video it will probably be up. If you want to go to my channel, there are also things like how to team fight as ADC. That's why I'm not covering things like that specifically in this video. There will also be how to play lane like a pro player, and I'll cover a pro player playing Kaisa in lane and team fights and things like that. If you see this video and it's not up, please drop a sub and it will be up soon. I'd appreciate it. And just while I'm there, like, comment, subscribe, etc. So some tips for lane and, you know, team fights and things like that. First of all, in lane, your W should be used as an execute and should not be spammed out for poke and things like this. It's a high cooldown and lots of mana spell. You don't want to be just spamming out your W. This is just a general Kaisa thing and it applies to team fights, laning phase, everything. Isolated Q damage is insane. You want to be using your Q as an isolated ability, especially once it's evolved and you have AD. It deals ridiculous amounts of damage and can literally wipe out maybe 75% of someone's HP sometimes if they're a squishy, especially if you're ahead or snowballing. Another thing that you want to do with your Q in lane especially is you want to use it when you're pushing for 2. Your Q deals 200% bonus damage to minions under 35% HP, so it does execute damage and a lot of it. You can easily hit 2 before a lot of ADCs. And then from hitting 2, you want to abuse your level 2 power spike with your support, etc. This is going to wrap up this video. There will be more guides on how to play Kaisa on my channel and more ADC guides, things like this. I'd appreciate it if you dropped a sub, like, subscribe, comment, etc. Drop a comment. You know, we're gonna go back to the basic. Comment avocado if you watched the whole way through this video. Yeah, peace.